Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to my talk on the transition to university. My name is Savannah and I work in the Future Students Office at University of Leicester. I really wish I could come in and talk to you, and hopefully I'll be able to talk to you soon in person, but for now you'll just have to listen to my lovely voice on a recording instead. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at everything involving the transition to university, because it's very different to what you might be doing in school or college at the moment. We're going to go into learning at university, so how that might differ from what you're doing at the moment, and the things to look out for. We'll then go into exams at university. There's lots of different options and it does differ from course to course. So I'll just go over some of the options for you and how you can make sure that you get the most out of these. I'll then go into social life, because after all, it's not all about the degree, it's about the amazing opportunities that you have on top of that to get to know people and get involved in that social life, but also about those other opportunities to help you in the graduate employment market, and everything else in between as well. We'll then go into budgeting, because that is a massive part of when you first go to uni. For me, and for I think the majority of people, is the first time you've got a substantial income and you've got to decide where that money's going and make sure that you've got enough to survive. Otherwise, you might end up eating beans for the 2 weeks before your next student finance comes in. So we'll go into some top tips for that. And then we'll go into what you can do to start getting ready for university at the moment, because there are some things that you can do to get yourself excited for. I know at the moment it's a bit weird, but we will go over some things that you can do to really get yourself ready and prepared for September to October time. So first, the learning at university. So it is very different to school. One of the ways it's different for a lot of people is it's specific to a certain subject, unless you're doing joint honours and then it's specific to 2 subjects. Often when you're at school or you're at college, you'll be studying 3 subjects. If you're doing a BTEC, then you might only be doing 1 subject or access to HE. But this really is specific on that 1 subject, and it really delves into it. So goes really deep into the knowledge of that, which you won't have had at A level if you studied that subject at A level. So it really gets you ready and really improves your knowledge in that area. A lot of the time, you have more than one choice with what you do. So at the moment, you've got to stick to a curriculum to be able to get that qualification. At university, it's a lot more open. Sometimes you do have specific modules that you have to do, especially in first year, or if it's for a certain qualification like law, or it's an accredited degree, because you've got to have certain practicals to get that accreditation. But for a lot of the time, you get more choice in what you want to do. So you can really pick the things that sound interesting to you. These modules change from institution to institution as well, based on what the lecturers are kind of researching, especially if they're a research-led institution like Leicester. So it really lets you pick the things that are most interesting. With this in mind, it's a lot of independent learning as well. So at the moment, you have a lot of contact hours. You've got certain times where you have to be in school. And at university, that changes. You've got a lot more free time. And so it means that you kind of really get to make the most of that, and you've got to decide when you want to do your learning. So whether you want to do it during the day like you would at school, or whether you're maybe a night owl and you want to be doing, your reading lists and research and different assignments during the night. It's very much up to you to really focus on your schedule and what's going to work best for you. As well, what that means is that there's not as much spoon feeding. So if you're really struggling with something, it means that you've got to pursue the lecturer who's teaching you or your personal tutor to get that extra support. It's very much about helping yourself. The help is there, but it's up to you to really make use of that. It is a mixture of lots of different things. Depending on your course, it could be a mixture of lectures, seminars, practicals, workshops, laboratories as well if you're doing a science, lots of different things. So it really means that you get to practice different ways of working. And when you are making your final choices for university, you need to really think about, what are going to be the best modules to help you learn? How do you learn? For me, I picked a degree that I knew was going to be very hands-on, and even the theory was taught in a practical way because I'm a practical learner. You might be very different. It's up to you to really find that out and find what's going to suit you the most. And then that'll help you make those final decisions if you are struggling. As well as this, it is spread out over a longer period of time. So at the moment, you've got your hours where you could be in school or college 9 till 3:30. At university, it's different. You've got times where you could be in university and have those contact hours between 9 and 6 p.m. If you it doesn't mean that you will have lectures during all of that time. They'll be dotted throughout those periods of time. So, you could have a lecture 5 till 6 on a Monday. You just have to wait and find out when you start university. As well as this, there are optional talks, and it's very much up to you whether you want to do this. Some departments get keynote speakers in at various times of the year. I know we've had David Attenborough in a few times to deliver different talks. But it's an opportunity for you to speak to people who are key researchers in that industry or doing really great work, and get to learn from them. I think one of the most exciting things that I did with my degree was go to one of these optional talks, and it was with a playwright who I was actually doing a performance and a module on at the time. So it really gave me the opportunity to ask him questions that were going to help me with my assignments. And also with that practical performance too. As well as this, there's loads of different field trips. You might have these at the moment. These do have additional costs, but they go to some amazing places. I know geography go to New Zealand, which is absolutely amazing. My friend went there and she had an amazing time. So do make use of these field trips if they're there, because they could lead you all over the world. There's also the year abroad and year in industry options that you can make use of if your degree has it, that give you a great opportunity to visit different cultures and also gain those on-the-job skills as well that are needed in such a competitive job market. We also have really great state-of-the-art facilities at universities, especially at Leicester because we're a research-led institution. You get to use those as well as our academics. So it really gets you confident in using different facilities, which is great and exciting. So this is what your schedule might look at university. You can see two examples there. And one example is with a degree that's quite practical and has a lot of contact hours. And then this is the bottom one's a degree that doesn't have as many contact hours. And it's basically a lecture seminar format. And you can see that there. You can also see that there are guest talks that this person's going to go to 5 till 6. And you'll also see on both of them that Wednesday free. These are free for every university that you go to because it's to give you the opportunity to really get involved in the social life. A lot of sports have competitions during the Wednesday afternoon, so you go and play different universities. It's an opportunity for you to get involved with the societies as well. They often hold different practices then, or on other nights. So it's really there to make you get involved with everything at the university. And if you don't want to get involved, it's extra study time for you as well. But you can see there on the top one, this person's in on Tuesday, 10 till 11 and 12 till 1. They might decide that they want to go down to the university at 9, go to the library for an hour, go to their lecture, have a little break, get a coffee, go back to the library, do a bit more independent study, have their lecture, then go home and do whatever they want. They might decide that during that time, 11 till 12, that's when they're going to kind of catch up with people or other areas of the university. It's very much up to you what you do in those breaks, whether you stay at the university and do independent learning or go and do something else. But it really gives you a lot of opportunity to make the most of your time and best suit your learning too. So the next one we're going to focus on is the exams. So when you're at university, they work a little bit differently and it differs from module to module. So there's loads of different ways that you could be assessed at university. You could have written exams, multi-choice exams, scene exams where you see the paper before you go in and are allowed to take notes. You could have essays and coursework that you've got to do, statistics, that you have to do, like an hour of statistics every Friday that you've got to do. I think that's one that my friend had to do. There's things called Viva Voces, where it's a bit like a critical reflection, but instead of writing it, you are asked questions and you reflect on your piece of work by speaking. There's also presentations. Group work is involved in every degree pretty much because it's an important part of working as well, and it teaches you a lot about how to deal with certain types of people, most definitely. And there's practical exams as well, so you know, things like your laboratory assessments. The weighting of these very much depends. There could be modules where it's one assessment right at the end of the module. There could be 3 different ways you're assessed throughout the degree, and they have a different weighting. So one of your assessments might be worth 20% of the module and another might be worth 80%. So it very much varies, and you need to be aware of that as well. You know, if you're someone who just wants one big exam at the end, look out for those modules. I preferred to have at least 2 different ways of being assessed, so it wasn't, my grade wasn't all pinned on one thing, and that was the way that I kind of liked working, and it put me a little bit more at ease. It's very much up to you to decide, and be tactical about that. But onto the social life. So this is a massive part of when you go to university. There's a thing called a students' union, or the SU for short, that every university has, and they have some amazing things going on. Lots of different events to be part of, some free, some you have to pay for. You can see we had a carnival at Christmas on the right there. They've also got over 300 sports and societies at Leicester, and they've got a lot of the universities too. So it means that you can keep doing something that you're enjoying at the moment, or really try something new. Some of them are really competitive, some of them are more social. So it really gives you the opportunity to get stuck in and do different things as well. As well as this, there's lots of opportunities to boost your CV. So you could get involved with some of the volunteering that the student union does. You could work for the university as well to boost your CV. And as well as that, the careers team put on loads of different events like CV workshops, mock interviews, but also festivals of career where they ask loads of different employees to come back and give you a little bit of feedback on what you might need to do and what they're looking for, and if they're looking for graduates as well. So it's really useful that way too. As well as this, there's lots of chances to make friends. You know, we've not only got the student union you can make friends at, you can make friends in your halls of residence, and they put lots of events on as well. They had an open air cinema 2 years ago, which was really amazing to see. And they do like bake-off nights too, so lots of different things. You can learn more about your subject as well by going to those guest speakers. And it really gives you an opportunity to gain independence by doing things like, you know, you study abroad, you're doing an internship, you know, just going and living somewhere else for the first time as well, or commuting, really develops your independence as a person and gets you ready for what comes afterwards. So it's really exciting, and there's some really exciting ways to really develop your skills and get the most out of your experience as well. I absolutely loved doing my degree, but also getting involved in the social life. I took up rugby again, which I didn't think I would, and we did like really well as a team. So, you know, it's really nice to get involved with those things and make friends for life as well. It's up to you to make the most of these though. Like these things are all on offer, but no one is going to force you and make you go to these things. It's really up to you to get yourself signed up and get yourself motivated to go to them. You could go through your degree and you don't have to do any of the sports or societies or volunteering. But I recommend that you would, because it's going to really help develop that CV, and really help you make friends and get the most out of your experience at uni as well. So on to budgeting. Budgeting is a massive thing at university. It could be the first time you do budget. Some people do it really well, and some people don't do it so well. One of my friends got way too carried away at freshers and did struggle towards the end of the year because of it. So you really need to work out what your budget will be so you can stick to it. So work out how much income you'll have at university. So looking at things like your maintenance loan, any scholarships or bursaries that you might have, and also, you know, if you're getting a parent's contribution or you're working at university too. If you think that you don't need to work, you know, ask yourself that question. Some people do, some people don't. I personally decided to work during the summer and Easter and Christmas full time, so I could focus on my degree when I was at university. But I did do a bit of ambassadoring when things got a little bit short, so that might be a good option. Look at different Excel apps as well to find out what your weekly budget should be. These are really good because they count for your essential items first. So you work out your income and then you'll work out the essential things that you'd spend money on first, like rent, food, and maybe a sports membership if that's really important to you too. And then after minusing these, it works out what your spending would be for all those non-essential things. So do have a look at those. There's really good, if you go on, you know, lots of different things like Money Saver, and they suggest lots of different apps that you can use. Start saving as well if you can. If you've got a part-time job, just start putting a little bit of money away, and that's going to really help you in freshers. There's lots of exciting things to do and take part in, and sometimes you do have to pay for them. So it just means that you've got that money that you can use for that. Be savvy as well, savvy like Savannah. Use lots of different discounts like those student apps like Uni Days and Student Beans, the NUS card. Look at second-hand items, especially when it comes to your books and like lab coats and stuff. Just hold off, because when you get to university, people will probably be selling those books really cheap, or you might be able to get those books electronically as well. And then look at things like your bank accounts too. Santander have a really good one where they offer you a 4-year rail card. That's really great if you're going to a university that's far away. It just saves you that little bit of money. So do be aware of these types of things. And then preparing for university. So do get excited. You know, it's the next step for you, and it is a really exciting one. There's lots of things that you can be doing to try and motivate yourself to really get into this. You could talk to students and academics. We've got a chat function which you can find on www.le.ac.uk/chat, where you can chat to lots of ambassadors and also different staff members. So there's academics on there from lots of different departments. I'm on there, so you can find me. And then there's staff members from professional services like health and wellbeing, student support as well. So look at those and talk to them if you've got any questions. Ask the students as well what they're kind of reading or what they did to prepare for university. They might be able to recommend like an article or a book that you can maybe take out of the library. Watch and read those materials that are recommended, and set yourself little projects as well if you've got a little bit of time. So, you know, read a certain chapter out of a book or read a certain article, and then do a written reflection. So write about what you found really interesting in that. And that's going to really help you when you come to university, if you've got to do reflections on certain articles, and you know, you've got to bring things back to seminars and stuff. That's going to help develop those skills and get you ready for doing that. So it's a really good idea to do. Start thinking about budgeting as well. You know, set yourself a budget. If you go shopping with your parents, set a budget with that. Ask them what their budget is, and then look at the things that you can be doing, how you can save as well. You know, things like own brand supermarket products. Look at those different things so you can start budgeting. Make a list of things you'll need as well. If you don't make a list, you end up bringing the whole house. So start making that list. You know, when you're looking at cooking appliances, I always say, don't bring the whole kitchen. A lot of people end up bringing like 5 plates and 4 dishwashers. They don't do that. But just don't bring loads of stuff. You only need one thing of each. And a lot of the time, even though everybody says, oh, that's gross, I'm not sharing my stuff. I was one of those people. You always end up sharing your stuff with people, especially when you've got friends coming around. Someone will lend you a plate or a baking tray. So just don't worry about that. Don't just bring one of each thing. And if you do forget things, a lot of the time in Freshers, they have different fairs where you can buy secondhand products. So don't worry about it. Make sure you're bringing stuff from home, that's going to really remind you, like pictures of your friends or your family. Fairy lights to really make it homely, and posters too. And then practice cooking. This is a massive one, and it causes a lot of fun as well, usually, especially when things don't always go to plan. My mum helped me practice cooking before I went to university, and I ended up smashing a pan because I didn't realise that you couldn't put glass on top of a hob. Um, it's really silly things like that, and it's going to be a lot of fun, but it's also going to get you prepared for university. So you can cook for yourself, how to cook at least pasta, and survive off something that isn't takeaways too. So I definitely do that. Lots of fun to do with the family too. And as well as that, like I said, bring stuff to remind you at home. Don't buy lots of reading materials. I know I said that before, but a lot of them are electronic. Don't sign up to every society when you end up going to university too. What you need to do is you need to go to the Freshers' Fairs, sign up and take part in their socials and different events, but don't pay by signing up. For societies, you do need to pay a little fee of like £3. Just hold off paying this. And by all means, take part in loads of them, but you're probably not going to be able to do all of them through the whole of first year. So just hold off a little bit, see which ones you enjoy the most, and then sign up to them afterwards, rather than paying £3 to join everyone. You don't have to do that. You've got at least 2 weeks to kind of decide if it's for you or not. Bring some biscuits too. I know this seems really weird, but this is something that my drama teacher recommended to me, and I always recommend it to people as well. Bring some biscuits, because when you first get to university, a lot of the time, when you first get there and all the people in your halls of residence get there, you haven't got that much in. Some people might not know how to cook, and just being able to offer someone a biscuit and have a chat and a cup of tea with them really helps kind of get settled, and it's a conversation starter if nothing else. And everybody loves biscuits, so it's a win-win. And get excited too. It's the next big adventure. So start looking at different things. Think about what you're going to have in your room. Look at the societies on the SU as well, what you might want to get involved with. Go to subject tasters, all those different things, and really start getting excited, because you will have an amazing time. I know I did, and I know lots of people who did as well. So do get excited. Okie dokie. So that is the end of my talk. I hope you've really enjoyed it. And if you do have any questions, please do get in contact with me or anybody else at the university. You can do this at www.le.ac.uk/chat. And remember, no question is a silly question. We're always happy to help. So come and ask us something, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you sometime. Okay, see you later. Bye.